I was sitting like this. The dude couldn't come across any more cringy and arrogant. What an absolute technical masterclass this was by both fighters. What is going on, everybody? This is Sergey from MMA Soap Opera, and today we're gonna be talking about the UFC 310 that just took place, and oh boy, what an absolutely incredible card this was. Top to bottom, early prelims, the main card, all three parts of the event had absolute bangers and amazing performances, and I was thinking of going through some of them. There's a couple of fights that I'm just gonna breeze through, but let's have a look at it. So early prelims, I'm gonna talk about the couple standout performances. The first one for me was absolutely Chase Hooper, who went against Clay Guida. The thing about Chase Hooper for me is that he looks like a kid. It almost felt wrong to see him in the octagon against such a veteran like Clay Guida, but man, Chase absolutely delivered. We knew that he's super talented on the ground, but the striking was absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, the fight lasted only 1.5 minutes. Chase Hooper dominated the fight, got a fantastic submission, and then on the microphone, dude, he just looked like such a kid. Anyways, congrats to Chase Hooper. What an amazing performance. Michael Chiesa, vintage performance, really well done. Joshua Vaughn, he looked so sharp. I know that he was kind of tough on himself when he was talking to Joe Rogan, but I do think that this was a very good showing. It doesn't matter that he didn't get necessarily the finish, but he gave us 3 solid rounds where he showed how high of a caliber he is. Chris Weidman, I hope that dude is gonna retire, not gonna lie. The thing about Chris Weidman is that for me, I call him a karma fighter. The stuff that he's doing to other people tends to happen to him as well. So not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping that he would get finished with eye pokes or something, so just that the karma would get served this time around as well. That didn't happen. He still got TKO'd. Listen, the man is a legend, but he is getting finished by unranked opponents. I think it's time for him just to move on. Alright, so those were early prelims. Oh yeah, by the way, the knockout by Kennedy Nzechukwu, or however you pronounce it, he's a bad man, and rightfully he got a bonus for that, so congrats to him as well. Alright, prelims. Randy Brown versus Brian Bell. I feel like Randy Brown started very well, but then Brian Bell was able to sort of like match him, so they were for sure 1-1 after the second round, and then the third round was just... it is what it is. Tough luck for Randy Brown, and especially this has to suck because of course his opponent missed the weight, so yeah. Moving on, Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. What an absolute technical masterclass this was by both fighters. I thought that the scrambles were so exciting. I was on the edge of my seat, like literally the whole fight. Obviously, both of them were quite even when it came to the wrestling department. I thought that Aljamain did real well. It was a very close fight, but it really seems like Movsar sort of took over in the third round. So yeah, I don't really see Movsar Evloev fighting for the belt yet. I would love to see him against Diego Lopez. Actually, that's the rematch that I'm waiting for. But what an amazing performance by both fighters, both Aljo and Movsar. And Themba Gorimbo versus Vicente Luque. God damn it, what an incredible finish. Like that beautiful hook that he landed on Themba Gorimbo and then just absolutely put him to sleep like a seasoned warrior. Like, I don't really think that anyone was expecting Vicente Luque to put on these kinds of dominant performances anymore. So yeah, I think that it's time for Vicente Luque to start fighting ranked opponents again, maybe like a top 10 fighter even. Damn, great stuff by Vicente Luque. Amazing. Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. I gotta be honest, I didn't catch the fact that Anthony Smith suffered a loss of a friend. He looked like an absolute emotional wreck. I thought that he started the fight very well, but once he put his hands down and let Dominic Reyes to just land free punches on his chin, I was sitting like this. And you could tell it really seemed like he was just venting his emotions through the fight. This was a second win in a row for Dominic Reyes. I thought that he looked okay. You could tell that this is an older generation of the fighters. So yeah, man, congratulations to Dominic Reyes. Really sorry to say this, but I don't necessarily feel like it's a good idea for Anthony Smith to come back. Like, who is he gonna fight? I don't know, man. I think that Anthony Smith had an amazing career, and at this point with all his performances lately, he's just hurting his legacy, in my opinion. Alright, moving on to the main card. Nate the Train Landwehr got basically ran over by the train called Do Ho Choi. Yeah, man, I was expecting much better performance by Nate the Train, but he had nothing against his opponent. Do Ho Choi, every single time he landed on Nate, it really seemed like he's 2 weight classes above him. Like, I'm not lying, this guy was throwing some absolute bombs I gotta be honest, after the first round, I was just expecting a knockout. So yeah, Do Ho Choi, what an absolute beast. I would love to see him, for example, against Bryce Mitchell. I thought that was a really good call out. Yeah, speaking of Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie, like I said in the preview about UFC 310 card, I wasn't really expecting Kron Gracie to put any great performances, to be honest. And I said that if Bryce Mitchell is gonna keep the fight standing, he's gonna dismantle Kron Gracie. Well, it's not necessarily what happened. I think it's really difficult to fight someone like Kron Gracie because Kron Gracie, he's like a leech. Once you get a little bit closer to him, he's gonna suck himself to your body and then you just can't get rid of him. So I thought that Bryce solved this problem perfectly. Like the actual initial slam probably made like 80% of the damage. And then the two follow-up shots were basically just to make sure that Kron Gracie is not gonna stand up. So yeah, really good performance by Bryce Mitchell, especially coming back after that scary knockout that he suffered last year. Kron Gracie, in my opinion, he should be fighting in like early prelims and help a younger fighter to build himself up from him. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov 2. This was really interesting matchup. I gotta be honest, I was very surprised by how well Cyril was fighting considering how long he was out of the octagon. And like when I was watching the fight, I was like, wow. This was the first time I saw him in the octagon and he actually looked like an MMA fighter. Not a kickboxer, but an MMA fighter. With that being said, Alexander looked fantastic as well. And I actually felt so bad for him when he lost the split decision because he put so much work into this. This was such a close fight. And like a lot of people thought that he edged out the fight. I still don't think that this was a robbery. That's just the nature of these super close fights. It can go either way. Also, Cyril Gane seemed to have broken his toes in the first round. So if he was able to put on this kind of a performance with broken toes, then yeah, even more power to him. Then the people's main event of the evening, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Garry. What an absolute unexpected result this was. Ian Garry looked so great. He absolutely smashed my expectations of him. I thought that his takedown defense was on point, and once he started pressing, he was landing on Shavkat some really damaging shots. But in most of the rounds, I felt like Shavkat always landed the more meaningful shots. He always did very well with the pressure, especially on the cage. And you know, just got the win, but I definitely wouldn't say that this was any sort of domination at all. Ian is totally right. In his post-fight interview, he said that he made Shavkat look human. 100% agree with that. So yeah, even though Ian Garry suffered his first loss, I think that this was an absolutely fantastic performance, and I totally see him as a top 3 fighter right now. And there is a great chance that one day he's gonna actually become the champ. So we'll see. I have a feeling that at one point in the future, we're definitely gonna see a rematch. So yeah. And finally, moving on to the main fight of the evening, which was of course Alexandre Pantoja, who went against Kai Asakura, and this result made me so happy. I gotta be honest, I didn't know that much about Kai Asakura before he signed to UFC, so I was really looking forward to see how exactly he's gonna handle the fight week. I gotta say, the dude couldn't come across any more cringy and arrogant. Like, I understand that the dude is a big star in Japan, but just the way he was carrying himself, I absolutely hated it. So yeah man, I'm really happy that Alexandre Pantoja served him a nice humble pie. But also, what an absolute beastly performance. The dude ate all the shots of Kai Asakura like it was nothing. Himself landed some damaging shots, and once the fight went on the ground, it was basically over. Like, the dude literally showed that he's a next level above Kai Asakura. Alexandre Pantoja called out Mighty Mouse. That fight is absolutely not gonna happen. I don't see a single reason why Mighty Mouse would come back to the sport, especially to the UFC. And Kai Asakura, man, what about Steve Erceg or Brandon Royval? That would be a fantastic fight as well. When it comes to Alexandre Pantoja, I would love to see him against Kai Kara France again. Anyways, congratulations to the champ and all the other fighters that got the win tonight. What an absolute banger of the card, and I would easily rate this maybe like an 8.5 out of 10. Really good stuff. Alright guys, this is it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. What did you think about the UFC 310? Let me know in the comment section down below, but once you're gonna be there, also make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell, that way you don't miss any upcoming videos. In just a couple of days, we're gonna be talking about the matchup between Joaquin Buckley and none other than Colby Covington. So once again, subscribe so that you don't miss out. Alright guys, thank you very much again for watching. This was Sergey from MMA Soap Opera, cause that's what it is.